All right, guys, final step. Step 5, the path to consistent profitability, is to keep doing the forward testing. And we talked about how you could introduce RSI. Well, get familiar with other indicators. Get familiar with the 50 or the all the moving average, not just the 50-day. Get familiar with the moving averages. Get familiar with how your strategy might interact with what the S&P, the overall market, is doing that day. There's all sorts of stuff that you can introduce, and it's not a matter of going through it exhaustively, coming up with 50 different things that you can backtest, because that's unrealistic. But what will happen over time as you just pay attention, just spend a few minutes a day looking at the markets, ideas will pop into your head. Things will come to you, and you'll kind of notice some patterns. Why don't we backtest that pattern? So you backtest it, and hopefully you get some meaningful results. So, as always, let's provide structure. This is a step 5. So the structure to step 5 is to spend, say, 45 minutes a day just reviewing the markets, review the charts, see what happened in the markets, how it might have affected your trading strategy. And if there was something that you could record, an event, then record it. If you're day trading, there probably was an event that you can record. If you're swing trading, I mean, it depends on the strategy. For a while, I was recording breakouts. I really liked breakouts. So breakouts over the 50-day moving average, breakouts, last 52-week all-time high breakouts, things like this that I was scanning on FinViz for. So I would record those every single day. And there's no reason why that needs to take longer than about 45 minutes. So think of how powerful that is. If you stay consistent and spend 45 minutes in the evening, eventually you will get to consistently profitable. That's very powerful. And that speaks to the way that you make money in trading, right? Because we all want to get to that point where you are consistently profitable and you're not spending much time, but you're making a lot of money and it's compounding and things are going really, really well. Well, it works that way during the learning process as well. You're not spending a lot of time with it, but the knowledge you're gaining, the skills you're gaining, your work in developing an edge, they're all compounding. And yes, it feels like it goes slow at first. That's why step 1 was motivation, because it does feel slow at first, and you do need to come back to motivation. So, another part of the structure of step 5 is to go back and review the data that you've recorded. So, on a weekend, if you're a day trader, you might go back and review the data that you've recorded, say once a week or maybe once a month. If you're swing trading, you probably want to go back and review the data. I mean, I usually reviewed it about once a month, and that was a good amount. And so when you go back, you actually pull up the chart for each instance that you recorded, look through it, and see how did it play out. The criteria that I was looking at, did it play out well? Is it not playing out well? What changed? What's wrong with this? And as you're looking through the charts, again, you'll get inspired. There'll be things that will come up. You'll see patterns, and you'll create a new row in your spreadsheet. I want to test this particular thing. As your data set grows, you start getting 50 or 100. If you see a pattern, if you all of a sudden see something, wow, that every time it crosses the 50-day moving average, the price really moves. Well, then you can go now and back test. You can take your forward test that you made, because now you have a full data set, and you can just create a new column, go back and see for each event that you recorded, how did that new idea, that new criteria work out? Did it work out well? Would it have changed the outcome? Would it have changed your win rate? So yeah. Now, the nice thing about this is after you spend all this time with this strategy, you are going to have confidence. You are going to know exactly how this strategy should perform. When you see something coming up on a chart, you're not going to hesitate anymore. That anxiety, that pit in your stomach, like you're you're placing a trade, but you have no idea how it's going to work out, that's going to be gone because you've put in this work to understand it. I like to close just with a couple of trivia items that really apply here as motivation. There are some very famous traders, some of the most famous traders. We're talking Soros, George Soros, Stanley Druckenmiller, those guys, right? If you go back and look at what they traded, they didn't trade everything. They only traded a couple of things, whether it was the S&P or they traded the US dollar or they traded gold. And those two examples didn't trade all of those. They traded one thing. They traded the S&P or they traded bonds or they traded gold. That was it, one specific thing. And that is how you get the outsized gains in trading. You get familiar with one strategy, or maybe one instrument, or maybe one currency pair. You get very familiar with it. You do all of this back end work. And then when you see an opportunity, you have the confidence to take size and you know what it looks like if it's working out or if it doesn't work and you need to get out of it. So that is how you get to consistent profitability. As you would expect, getting good at trading is a whole set of skills. There's something to it. And that's why I'm making myself available. For anybody who has questions, I've put my email in the description again, and we are currently working on setting up the Edge Foundry. And I'm sure at some point down the road, if somebody's watching this video, you just go to theedgefoundry.com and everything will be set up. The mentorship will be going and we'll be helping people to get consistently profitable. One thing I just want to leave you with is that there's a framework, there's a path. I didn't necessarily come up with it. This is the path that has been designed for decades by hedge funds, institutions. They all take some version of this path. And what I've done is I've taken the path and made it retail friendly. So now we have a slightly different way of getting to consistently profitable, but equally as powerful. So best of luck, and I hope to hear from you in the future.